Hey, it's me, Brooks. Welcome to Heal This. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am thrilled to welcome Toni Shelaske, a true leader in the world of holistic pet wellness with over 25 years of experience in the industry. Toni is the go-to expert when it comes to the natural pet care, from the healthiest foods and treats to the most trusted products on the market. She is not just a wealth of knowledge, she's also a powerhouse entrepreneur. She really is a powerhouse and she's a lot of fun. Toni founded and ran Healthy Pet Products in Pittsburgh for 16 years, growing it into a beloved community staple. She recently sold it, but she didn't stop there. She still owns and operates a healthy pet product store in Port Charlotte, Florida, continuing her mission to help pets live their healthiest lives. She mentions to me in the podcast, and I'm not going to say it totally the way she did, but it's part of her life's mission to help pets live their healthiest lives, which means educating us as their people on how to do that. And on top of all of that, Toni is the host of her own podcast, Toni Unleashed, where she shares her deep expertise in pet wellness, entrepreneurship, and the journey of building conscious, purpose-driven businesses. So it's a lot of fun. I learn a lot and there's a lot to process. So I hope you'll listen and enjoy. Hi, Toni. How's it going?
Hey, Brooks, it's going well.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. I'm excited to dig in and have all of these conversations.
Same.
So
I'm thrilled to be here and talk about pets. It's what I do.
I love it. Is there anything that maybe that you want to share about yourself right up front that I might not have said in the intro?
I exist on this planet to help pets. I truly believe that.
I love that.
So, and that's really my mission in life.
Oh, well, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I want to make sure if you're watching, you'll get to see this, but I have on my Roxy shirt today, so I wanted to just show it's got my doggy on it,
Aw.
and so anyway, you can't really see it when I'm sitting down, but yeah, so it's an appropriate episode to wear my Roxy shirt. She's our dog, and we've had her for 3 years, and she's going to be 4. So she's a
Nice.
pit terrier mix, and
Okay.
she's
I kind of
super,
figured from,
yeah, she's super feisty, but super lovey too. So,
yeah.
anyway, well, let's just dig right in and talk about pets and healing. And, so let's just start with what has been your experience over 25 years of experience, but in that time, how have you seen pets contribute to their owners healing and others healing?
Well, our pets are always happy to see us no matter what. Dogs, especially, cats
Hmm.
kind of have their own journey, and you're lucky to be a part of their lives. But our dogs are um, always happy to see us no matter what. And oftentimes, if we're sick, they are laying by our sides. I just did an episode um, with a trainer, and her and I were talking about how intuitive they are. And I had someone comment on one of my Instagram posts that she said she was pet sitting for a couple of dogs, and they always scratched at her stomach and would kind of burrow like around her belly. And she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And she
Interesting.
says she swears those dogs could sense it
I think
because
they
dogs
can.
can detect cancer, which is what,
Hmm.
we were kind of talking about on my episode. So, they're just, and they're, we're training them as service dogs. We're training them in the military. They're doing so much for us. And they're also, I feel like, they pivot us through life. Like I call it, a pinball machine almost. Like, you release that ball and you pinball through life.
Hmm.
So, My first dog, Princess, I found her on the side of a road of the road, and she was the reason why I started in the pet space.
Wow.
Um, so, I think that if we really, think about it, they have a huge impact on our lives, and they're truly angels in our on this planet, I feel.
I do too. You're so right about that. I think for me it's taken me a while because can feel her, especially cuz she's
Hmm.
our pet right now, but I can feel her feeling me, and so sometimes
Yes.
I'm like, "Can you just not do that?" But they can't help
Yes.
it. They can't help
Yes.
but take our
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
And we do see an increase in anxiety in dogs, and I think that is a big part of it, is they pick up our energy,
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't realize that.
Mhm.
So and even if you do realize that, you have to work on your own anxiety or stress or whatever it is you're going through in order for your pet to stop picking up on that, right?
Right. Yes. Yes, for sure. Yeah. I have had a couple of times where people have asked me to work on their pets, and
Uh-huh.
I wish I could definitely hear everything they were saying. I can't. I know what my dog is thinking, but that would be very helpful. But definitely, I can see that they a lot of times, especially when you have a rescue, right? They've experienced some kind of trauma, just like
Hmm.
I we would experience trauma. Maybe our trauma is being stubbed, we stub our toe really bad or we get hit by a truck, right? There's a big difference. And pets are the same way. Maybe
Yeah.
they feel like one thing that happens that another dog would not interpret as trauma is trauma for them. But for sure, we're seeing that a lot of animals are maybe in too small of a cage or an area with other
Mhm.
animals, um and it's very traumatizing for them, and so it takes a while to kind of acclimate to being in a different space. Have
Oh,
you seen that?
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, a rescue dog, and we don't know what they went through. We have
No.
no idea, and they can't tell us.
No.
So a lot
Yeah.
of times when you adopt a rescue, like they don't say a word or make a noise for 3 months. Or you have to really give them time to settle in, and some people give up too soon when they do adopt pets because they aren't able to work through any behavioral changes or really not understanding what's happening.
Mhm.
So that's why sometimes the return rate is high.
Yeah. It's so sad.
Yeah.
um Well, I feel like we're going to go back and forth between these two things. How our pets help us and how we can help them, and
Hmm.
because they are helping us. And so, what are your thoughts on what we can do for our pets as they're taking on kind of our, empathically, they're taking on our emotions, and maybe they even, I honestly feel like they see in like 10D, and we just
Sure.
don't eat.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what are your thoughts about all that?
So I think that we as humankind are doing them a disservice because we have been led through marketing to believe that we should only be feeding our dogs and cats dry kibble. And it really is not the best thing for them. We should be feeding them better. We should be trying to use less medications when they are having skin issues and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, we're over vaccinating them, and this is really a hot button for in the
Sure.
veterinary industry. But they're overloaded with chemicals because we do chemical flea and tick treatments, we do monthly heart guard treatments, we
Hmm.
might treat our lawns,
I was going to
we
say, yeah,
might
they're outside.
use fragranced laundry detergent, and our dogs have 600 times the scent glands that we do.
Right.
So first of all, why do we even need that chemical fragrance? But I'm an anti-fragrance kind of person. So, so imagine what it does, how it makes them feel. Like, who knows if it gives them a headache or makes them
Mm-hmm.
nauseous. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And they're
Yes.
so resilient and they're so stoic that we really don't know.
Right. You're so right. And I think I'm guilty of that. I know I am because I come into the bedroom and I'm like, okay, it smells like a dog in here. And so I,
And
you know,
and dogs shouldn't smell like dogs.
we'll
So
expand on that.
So that Frito toe smell,
Mhm.
that smelly coat, that oily grit that you get when you rub your dogs.
Mhm.
So they really shouldn't have any of that. They shouldn't have that odor. They shouldn't have those Frito toes. So and that comes from yeast because
Mhm.
our the amount of kibble when we feed kibble only, we
Mhm.
have to have a starch in kibble that is a binder, just like in baking. We need some type of flour to to make a cracker or a cookie or whatever. So that turns into that starch. So that turns into sugar in the body, which feeds
Mhm.
yeast. And that is so their guts are full of yeast, which
Yeah.
pushes out into their skin, into their feet, makes them itchy. So that's where that odor truly honestly is coming from.
Yeah. Um I had read something about that and I was thinking while you were talking, I mean, we know that our skin is the largest
Mhm.
organ of our
Mhm.
body and it's showing us what's going on the inside
Yep.
and I thought it's interesting because we're just starting to talk more and more about our animals
Mhm.
guts
Mhm.
and how they're processing everything the same way that we are for the most
Mhm.
part, maybe even more through their liver and their kidneys, and then that's showing up on their skin. I know, and the lymph system too, right? Like we know all those
Yes.
things about humans, but it also applies to animals. And so yeah, the liver especially holds all the toxins and everything, and it actually um is processing emotions that are
Uh-huh.
going through there. And so
Uh-huh.
if they're holding space for our emotions, then they're on like double duty, right? So or
Uh-huh.
whatever. I mean, however many people they're doing that for in our home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
And
glad you brought that up.
serotonin is produced in the gut as well. So if we have an unhealthy gut, we're not producing as much serotonin, which is the feel good hormone. So they, another reason why we're seeing some anxiety,
Mhm.
a ridiculous amount of anxiety, to be honest with you, Brooks, with dogs. And yeah, the amount of health issues is just never ending. And over 50% are dying of cancer.
I know that's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we need to change it. You know,
we do.
they've always been known as man's best friend. And I think we're slowly killing man's best friend.
Yeah, and that goes back to our stuff,
Yeah.
like you were saying. So that kind of brings up this whole mirror um, phenomena that animals are mirroring us. Have you experienced any of that, or what are your thoughts on all of that?
It's interesting you say that. So, yes. The funny thing is, my one dog, Bo, I've honestly always said he is my boyfriend in dog form. My ex-boyfriend who has now passed,
Sorry.
he is him in dog form, like 100%.
Wow.
Even
Yeah.
still, even though Bob is no longer around, it's wild. And I guess for me, um, my dogs, because I've had multiple, like Bob brought two dogs into the relationship, but they were really his dogs. But you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
my dogs that were really my dogs, yeah, I guess you could say are a lot like me because they're pretty independent.
Hmm. Oh wow.
All three of my dogs that I feel like were my heart dogs, because they're a lot like me. They were pretty much free thinkers, independent,
Mm.
um, a little bit difficult to train because they kind of had their own way. They wanted to do things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's interesting that you bring that up because I have several clients who have talked about their animals in a way that I was kind of shocked in that they're not very lovey or they don't want to be by them all the
Mhm.
time. Whereas like our dog, she like if you walk out of the room, she wants to, where are you going? What are you guys doing? You know,
Uh-huh.
like what's
Uh-huh.
happening? And so I thought that was really interesting because I thought that, and I've been around other friends' animals, and they do the same thing, kind of follow them around. Where are you guys going? What are you guys doing? And so to have them not want to be right next to their person, I thought, what is that about?
Hmm.
What do you think?
I think that it's similar to how we raise kids is we want them close to us, but we don't want them reliant on us.
Hmm.
You know, we
Yeah,
want them to be able to leave the nest or have their own independence, have their own identity kind of thing. I think it's similar with dogs. You don't want your dog too reliant on you, because then when you do leave, and you have to leave your house at some point,
right.
that's where you're going to see separation anxiety.
True. You're right about that. Um, well, that's all just so interesting for me to think about now because I
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
spent a lot of time thinking about it. I am so grateful that she's so happy to see me when I come home.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think that it's important to think about how much our dogs go through with us.
Right.
So, like I'll use Bo as an example.
Hmm.
So Bo he currently he's a 13-year-old cattle dog.
Wow.
I also called a healer.
Yeah.
And they're difficult dogs because they need to be on a farm. They need a job. So when Bob and I adopted him, he was 13 years old and 20 pounds overweight, and he was always in homes that he was misunderstood. They're challenging dogs to have in a household, period. No matter, the best trainer, whatever. They're a challenge. Most of them, 90% of them. Bob and I broke up, and we had two dogs at the time, and we each took a dog, and it was the right thing to do. DeSoto was more close to me. Bob and Bo were very bonded. So we broke up, and then we were broken up about a year and a half, and Bob tragically died.
I'm so sorry.
And the day after he died, I went and picked up Bo and brought him back home with me. And he walked in this house like he didn't miss a beat. Um, but, we don't know what he's thinking. Like, where is
Right.
his human? And
Yeah.
Bob was like, I was second.
Hmm.
No,
Yeah.
no
I
question.
get that. Hmm.
But was Bob around to help him with that transition? Bo took it really well. Um, and he's doing great, but it's kind of like heart-wrenching when you think
Hmm.
about it.
Yeah. I think they know. I think they
Yeah.
know on a level that we don't understand.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. There's a lot of things that we kind of forget that how aware they are, like kids leaving and going to college and now they're not here anymore,
Yeah.
or just lots of different things. And also the time thing. I think we forget, animals' perception of time because they're
Hmm.
not alive as long as we are. And so their days are weeks kind of a thing, right? And so when
Yeah.
we're gone and we're gone for, I mean, we try not to be gone for a really long time, but when we are, you can just tell she's just so, first of all, she's bored out
Yeah.
of her mind,
Yeah.
like just what am I supposed to do with my time? And also sad that we're gone that long.
Hmm.
And so maybe we could talk a little bit about that. What are your thoughts about that?
So, what you mean when we're going to work or whatever, what we can do to help our dogs get through the day?
Yeah.
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 So I think it's a good don't make it a bad thing that you're leaving, and
Mhm.
don't drag it out. Don't be like, "Oh, honey, it's okay. I'm just going to be gone for a little while." The best thing to do, although it seems kind of heartless, is leave them with a treat or a stuffed something stuffed, like
Mhm.
with a little bit of treats and peanut butter, that so it's a positive thing. So
Mhm.
you give them that, and then you literally just walk out the door.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like you're saying with kids too. You don't want to draw
Yes.
it out and make it
You,
seem like a bad thing. So that's
correct.
good to hear. Um, yeah. What? Okay, so let's talk about some other things that we can do for our pets because we know that they're like you said, their job is to be here and love us
Yep.
and be our companions, and they are, if you don't know this already, they're empathic, they're intuitive, they know things about us, I mean, there's like the smell stuff, they know where we've been, all the things, right? And so what are some really good points for us as their people to do for them so we can better take care of them?
So I think that we need to understand their natural state of being. So they are dogs. They need to be dogs. So we are doing a little bit too much humanizing of them. Um, and I'm not saying don't dress up your dog for Christmas or Halloween or whatever. I'm not saying that. But, if it freaks them out, don't
Right.
do it. It's not, they would not wear clothing. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Hmm.
So it's important. Socialization is so important, just like for us. And once they become what a lot of people, I think, um, do is once they're trained as puppies and they're not going to the bathroom anymore in the house, and they they're sitting when they're told to sit, and they're not chewing things up anymore, and they have played with the neighbor dog, or they've done their whole due diligence with taking them to Lowe's when they're puppies, or getting them out into different environments.
Right.
um, we stop when they're one, because we
Yeah.
think, okay, they're fine, they're done, they're trained, we don't
Hmm.
need to do it anymore. It's so important for them to continue socializing,
Hmm.
that just to maintain those connections with other dogs. It's important for their paws to touch the ground. It's important for our feet to touch the ground.
Hmm.
And go for that walk, keep them in a routine, keep them part of, go to your local independent pet food store, and they will love on your dog, and they know how to interact with your dog correctly.
Hmm.
Not letting it jump or whatever. But it's just important to still go. Like, I still take Bo to the pet food store, and he's 13 years old, and he loves it. And they
Yeah.
give him a treat, and they make a fuss over
Hmm.
him. It's just good
Yeah.
to do those sorts of things.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need the reminder because again, it's kind of like when you're going to take your kids to the grocery store. It's like,
Yeah,
well, it's a lot easier sometimes to not.
sure.
So,
It is. It
yeah.
is.
So,
Yeah.
it's a
I'm
good
not a
reminder.
huge proponent of dog parks.
Okay.
A lot of times dog parks, um, you get in there with a whole bunch of other people, and people aren't necessarily paying attention to dog behavior, and
Hmm.
then a fight erupts. And you have, when you put a whole group of dogs together that don't know each other and have never been around each other,
Right.
you never know what could happen.
It's true. Right. And they're playing off of all of us too, and our
Correct.
anxiety and our weird socialization of each other and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
So like play dates are cool though, right? Like when
Totally.
you, yeah. So like when a couple of animals get along together, it's good to
Hmm.
have them together.
Yes.
Yeah, you were making me think of a couple of other things that, oh, I think this is really interesting. So there's lots of times when you'll go to take your dog for a walk or whatever because you need the exercise
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
they have no they have no intention of letting you get exercise. It's like, you
Oh,
know,
they're sniffing too much?
yeah, because it's their turn to have their walk too. And those are two totally different things. Like we figured that out, you know? What are your
Well,
thoughts? Yeah.
so that's also a training thing. You
Yeah.
it's we you say leave it and you keep walking.
Nice. Yeah.
And then you control when it's time for your dog to sniff. Like it's good to pick a word, like take a break. And you take a break as a command, let your dog sniff for a little while, because you don't want to completely prohibit that, but it can make going one block a 15-minute process.
Right.
So, and it's
Yeah.
important for your dog to get some miles in too.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
that's good mentally, that's good physically. So that is a training issue.
Yeah.
So leave
Okay.
it.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yes. Yes. And if
Yeah.
you've had your dog for a couple of years now, it'll take a little time, but old dogs can learn new tricks.
Yeah. That's true. Okay. What do you think about the Zoomies? Totally random, but like, what do you think about the
Interesting.
Zoomies?
Interesting. Some trainers will tell you that a dog should not have zoomies. I'm kind of I'm kind of in the middle. So,
Yeah.
my dog has zoomies. I have two dogs. My Great Dane, and she's also a rescue. She's 14 months old. She does have zoomies, but she does not have them on a daily basis, and they're not always super erratic.
Hmm.
So, again, the more mental stimulation we are giving our dogs, the more structured exercise, the more routine we're giving our dogs.
Hmm.
A lot of those zoomies is pent up energy,
Hmm.
mental and physical,
Sure.
that our dogs need to get out.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always think it's fun and cute because it's
Yeah.
usually when we go in the backyard and we grab a ball or something. Oh boy, there she's like, I'm just so excited,
Yeah.
and then we're like, do we just wait for her? And then, and she does, and she rolls around and then she comes and she's like, okay, I'm ready now. So,
Yes. Yeah. So maybe
it's
a
good.
little more mental stimulation.
Yeah.
So,
That's good to hear.
yeah.
Okay. So what's mental stimulation for animals then?
Yeah. Um, so mental stimulation is as easy as if you have the same route you go when you go for a walk with your dog,
Hmm.
take the opposite route. That will blow your dog's mind away.
Right. That makes sense.
Yes. So it's not that hard. Um, and if you even just going out the same door, go out a different door.
Sure.
Um, and there's so many different games on the market. If your dog is food motivated,
Hmm.
there's so many different, you can get the balls that you put the treats in, and your dog has to push it around to get the treats out. Um, so many different things. Make your dog sit in a different part of the house. Your dog has never sat before in the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, did you ever take your dog in the bathroom and say, sit down, stay? Probably not.
No, yeah. We
Yeah.
we recently had a ton of tornado warnings, and
Oh,
so the place where we needed to go was in the bathroom because it was in the
yeah.
center of the home and down low and all that kind of stuff. And but sh- we take her in there for a bath, and not very often, and she didn't really particularly like to get in the bath, and so when we got in there she just kept staring at us like, I'm not going in there, like, I don't
I
know what
know.
you're doing. Like, why? And so then we showed her that we were all in there, and my
Yeah.
son was actually just sitting in the bathtub, just hanging out,
Yeah.
because and so she was kind of like, oh, well, okay, I can do this. So then it happened several times and several nights in a row. So then when she would hear the sirens, she knew that we were all going to go in there. She
Aw.
went in and she'd turn her back to us, which, she's trying to protect us. Right. And
Uh-huh.
so, and then she'd look back at us like, okay, we're doing this. This is what we do. And I
I
was like,
love that.
yeah, I thought it was pretty cool after, it was one time, and she thought, okay, I'm not feeling
Yes.
threatened here. So yeah,
See
that
how
was
smart she is?
it's really smart. Yeah.
So smart. And we
Yeah.
underestimate how intelligent they are. Even me,
Absolutely.
I still underestimate how intelligent they are and how intuitive they are.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are such gifts
Such gifts. You're right.
that uh, we just have to take care of them better.
We do. You're so right. And I think that you're just like, making me think of so many things for myself, because it is sometimes it's really hard to just take care of ourselves. And then we
Mhm.
forget that they're our job to take care of them too, because they're helping us so much. And even when we don't realize it, but go ahead.
It's
I don't want to
we
stop you.
are we are their we have to be their advocates. We have to be their voices. But Brooks,
Mhm.
if we it's a win-win, because if we take care of them, if we commit more to going to the pet food store, preferably locally independently owned,
That's
but
right.
whatever you got, go. Um, if we start doing that, or if we take our dog for commit to a walk that we didn't normally do, like
Mhm.
that's for us too,
For sure. It is.
because you will get joy from that too.
You're right. Yeah, it's true. um, well, let's talk. I we talked about the bathroom and the bathtub. So could we talk about that for a little bit? Like, what are your thoughts about
Oh,
bathing them? And because I mean,
yeah.
it's not just dogs too. I know people who bathe their cats. Which when I was growing up, that was like you never bathed a cat. Like that
No,
was and
no.
so I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts about
You
all
might
of that?
lose your life if you tried to bathe a cat.
I know, but like some cats love it, which is so interesting to
Not
me. So,
many.
no, not many. No.
Not many. Um, we a dog should not be bathed more than once a month.
Yeah,
And it is very important because they shouldn't need it more than that. I
right.
feed raw food. I don't feed any kibble or any type of processed food to my dogs. And this might sound gross to the average person, but my dogs don't get baths.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's gross. I just wondered because
Yeah.
I mean, again, going back to like human care, right?
Yeah.
We know that sure, sometimes we need to take a bath or wash our hair or whatever, but I think sometimes we're overdoing that, which means we're
Hmm.
stripping all the bacteria from our skin and
Hmm.
the natural oils and the things that are supposed to be there. And
Hmm.
so and then like you said, we're using products on them
Hmm.
for us,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But they're not helping the animals. So,
Or
um,
or even a lot of the dog shampoos and spritzes. Like I'm not about the spritzes that make them smell pretty.
mhm,
But a lot of the dog shampoos that are on the market have sulfates and phthalates and all of the horrible chemicals that we should not be using, even as human beings. And dogs naturally lick themselves, so
right.
to clean themselves, so they ingest it as well. So um, you just have to be really careful about the products that you choose. And it's very, very difficult because of marketing and because there's no regulations as far as what can be used. Anybody can make anything out of anything, food,
It's crazy.
supplement, all of it.
Yep.
So,
Wow. Well, what are your thoughts about the other, like you were talking about toys, or I even saw something about how to put their harness on correctly. I mean, they're like, it's just like endless, really, that things that we don't think about that we're doing that maybe are not helpful for them.
so toys are also enrichment, but they're also like a squeaky toy to a dog is basically a live squirrel.
Hmm.
So that can really heighten like unwanted behavior.
Yep.
And you have to see that every dog's different. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
some dogs are very destructive and want to eat that entire toy, and then you're at the emergency vet having surgery.
Right.
So you just have to kind of see the type of dog that you have. What I do, and I am not a dog trainer, I just,
Sure.
have learned from training my own dogs and working with trainers over the years.
Yeah.
Um, I I keep my dog's toys up, and a lot of trainers will tell you to do the same thing. The plush ones.
Hmm.
So, excuse me, they're up in a box separate, and then once a day, once every other day, I bring them down and just the root, and I literally just leave the box and let them root through and pick out what they want and run
Yeah.
around and play, and then they end up fighting over the same damn toy. And so
Yep.
that to them is enrichment because it's not there all the time. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You so again, it's about us kind of being in control and just. So the toys that I leave down are like Westpaw toys. I don't know if you're familiar with
I'm
Westpaw.
not.
That's a made in the USA brand. They're made in Montana. But they're similar to, everybody knows the word Kong, but they're similar
Hmm.
to Kong, all different shapes and sizes. And I love those. I leave those down, and the dogs like to play with those. But there's no squeakers. They're a hard, durable
Hmm.
plastic. And then I leave like sheep horns and bones and that sort of stuff out for them to chew on.
Sure. Okay, that's helpful. Um, well, what are some other thoughts then about ways that we can help our animals? Oh, sorry. Yes.
Harnesses. You asked about
Yes.
harnesses.
Yes.
So if you have a dog that's pulling,
Hmm.
please don't get the kind of harnesses that wrap around their legs or are tight up in their front leg armpit kind of area. It's
Hmm.
very uncomfortable. And a lot of times it can lead to chafing and that sort of thing.
Right.
Loose leash walking is a very difficult. I hate to say that right out of the gate, but it's a challenging thing to train your dog to not pull you
Hmm.
for most. And most dogs are naturally pullers. They would just pull and charge and go and do, and you know what I mean?
Yep.
So, my favorite harness, if you want to go the harness route, is called Freedom No Pull.
Nice.
And they are also, they're a woman owned company, also made in the USA and North Carolina.
Nice.
So
Okay. That's
I would
good to
get
know.
that or the help of a trainer to
Hmm.
help you learn how to walk your dog on a loose leash. And it's worth the time and effort that you put into it because then you can both take your walks and enjoy the time together.
Yeah.
Um, so, and a lot of another common problem that happens is leash aggression. So when a dog is near another dog, the first thing a human typically does is tighten up on that leash.
Hmm.
So when you tighten up on that leash is basically like we just talked about. Our dogs intuitively are connected to us. Is may as well just be an electrical conduit.
Sure.
That warns them that, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong here? So that over time, and it doesn't only takes a couple of times, then you have a leash aggressive dog. So
Sure.
anytime your
That
dog
makes
is on a
sense.
leash and sees another dog, there's going to
Mm.
be a roar, 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 eruption.
Yeah.
So again, work with a trainer to teach you the right way to be interactive with dogs in your neighborhood and all that sort of thing. So, and it just makes for a happier environment for everyone.
It does. Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of very helpful stuff. And um, I don't necessarily experience all of that with our dog, but I have seen it. And so I
Yes,
totally know
yes,
what you're saying. And so we're talking a lot about dogs but I mean pets are
cats.
cats, yeah. And I
Yeah,
I know several people who have birds too, which I'm like, wow, that I forget.
yeah.
Uh
And I think again, natural environment is so important for. I mean, imagine having wings and being caged.
yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
It's kind of sad, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So, I used to, when I was pet sitting, I had a customer with birds, and well, she was wealthy, but she had a whole room that was like that was dedicated to her birds. So her birds could fly in this room
Mhm.
and move around, and have some type of natural habitat.
Sure.
And cats, there's a lot of outdoor catteries now.
Mhm.
I have a new person in my neighborhood. She has a second floor deck on the house, and she put up this netting that stands up and borders the deck so her cats can safely go outside on the deck.
Nice. Yeah.
But
That's
you
a good
more
point.
commonly see cats walking now. A lot of
Mhm.
people are starting to walk their cats. There's a lot of
Mhm.
cat harnesses on the market. And we should be doing that. I mean,
Sure.
take your cat to the pet food store. They love
Right.
it.
Yeah. I'm sure
They
they
love it.
do.
Yeah.
It's probably a huge adventure for them. Oh my
Yes. And
goodness.
they need the socialization just as much.
They do. You're right. I see
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
They are funny though, because yeah, you're not all the way sure what they're thinking a lot of the
Oh,
time.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I usually tell people I like cats. I just don't speak cat.
Right.
And yeah, I just don't speak cat, and I'm allergic, so I don't have any cats. Never
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Oh. Well, let me look at time and everything. Let me see. Oh, we're doing so good. I read somewhere and I was thinking about you and I, we go to the doctor every once in a while. We
Hmm.
maybe we go get a massage, or we go get energy work or whatever. And I know
Yes, we
that
can talk about that.
there's things out there for our animals.
There is.
What what are your thoughts about energy work, and maybe all of the holistic things that we can do for our pets that are maybe not so much mainstream that we would
Yeah.
think about? Yeah.
Yeah. What I love is there's more and more people offering holistic services for pets. So, in my area, I have a couple of different people, women that are do massage for pets.
Yeah.
And she comes to the house, and there's you know they help with lymphatic drainage, it helps with stress, it helps with
Yeah.
anxiety, it helps with aches and pains. I would
Mhm.
love to have someone for Bo, but he'd bite them.
Aw.
um,
Yeah.
and he has bad hips. I would love to, I can't even touch his one hip.
Yeah.
So there's so many benefits to massage, just like it is, just like for us, mentally
Mhm.
and physically. There's acupuncturists. So again,
Yeah.
luckily where I am in Pittsburgh, I have a vet that's an acupuncturist, and she'll come to your house.
That's amazing.
And then we have some will do it in their practice. So you take your dog in and you have acupuncture done. Usually the ones that
So
have
cool.
acupuncture also do chiropractic.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Mm-hmm.
course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
So there's also energy work being done and muscle testing. Like we have a
Mhm.
holistic vet in the area. And if there's food allergies going on, or who knows what's going on, but she does muscle testing with foods and medicines and herbal supplements and all that sort of thing. So it's something that I highly encourage people start to investigate and
Yeah.
start using as options, opposed to um, conventional veterinary medicine.
Yeah.
Just like with us, it's not always the best route to go, you know?
It's true. Yes. Well, and I have done the emotion code on animals. So
Yeah.
basically, muscle testing for trapped emotions that could be causing either behavioral issues or pain in their body, which again is really hard to know because they don't really communicate to us, this is hurting.
Mm-hmm.
We have to really be paying attention. So there's that. And then energy work, of course, and Reiki for intuitive body reading for animals. So all of that kind of stuff is intriguing to me. And I also know um, a couple of individuals who are mediums that call in
Mm-hmm.
pets that have passed. And so again, there's lots of options, and like you were saying, we kind of forget that we're so wrapped up in our human world. We're like, you're
Yes.
good, I gave you a treat today, but
Yes.
they are a huge presence,
Yes.
and they're so much smarter and deeper
Yep.
than we give them credit for. So
And there's
yeah.
animal communicators that you can reach out to. So if you are having an issue and you just can't figure it out, whether it's behavioral or health, there are
Mm,
animal communicators that can tune in at a different level.
yeah, it's
And
pretty awesome.
it's good just to sit and observe. So whether they're at rest, whether they're walking around and playing, it's good just to get quiet and just watch them.
Yeah.
And when I was so my journey in the health in the pet space started as pet sitting. So I started my own pet sitting business and I did that for 8 years. So I literally just watched dogs and cats, mostly dogs.
Hmm.
And I just watched them. Like I was present with them
Right.
for 30 minutes at a time. And some of them from puppies and people, a daily visit kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I really learned so much just from observing them and being present with them.
I bet.
And I really think that was a part of my um, journey in my work life.
Hmm.
And I remember reading a book by Monty Roberts. Do you know who Monty Roberts is?
I don't.
He's a horse guy.
Okay.
Fascinating book. I think you would love it. If you ever
Yeah.
saw, I mean, Robert Redford made a not so great movie from it, The Horse
Oh
Whisperer.
yeah. Okay.
So it
We know
doesn't
that.
even touch the true story.
Wow.
But Monty Roberts had a dad with a heavy hand, and the term is you break a horse, and they physically break horses to accept
Hmm.
humans sitting on them. Like what they do to them is horrific.
Hmm.
And it didn't sit well with him. It's a book I highly recommend reading.
Okay.
And he would escape his father's tyrant behavior, and he would just go out into the woods by himself as a kid and watch the horses. And he learned and I think he created the term gentle a horse
I
opposed to
love that.
breaking a horse.
Yeah. That's hard to hear. That's really sad. So,
Yeah.
well, I'll
Yeah.
have to look it up. And
Yeah, it's a
yes.
great book. And I was lucky enough to actually see him do it with some horses. So just a
Wow.
fascinating individual.
Wow. Yeah, I think I know you're right. If we spend more time
Yeah.
just quieting ourselves and letting them show us, I know
Yeah.
I have experienced that with my children, so I
Yeah.
understand that when I sit back and just observe and
Hmm.
also listen, because a lot of times I'm like, I think what she's saying is,
Yeah.
um, because they do tell us a lot with their eyes and their body language also, and
Yeah.
so yeah, that gives me a lot to think about. I'm sure
Yeah.
listeners too. Hey, thanks for watching the first half of my interview with Toni Shelaske about pets. Stay tuned for the second half where we continue to talk about pets and her healing journey and also entrepreneurship. So stay tuned, practice your practice, spiral up and heal this.